This is Julie at Dogcast Radio. If you like dogs, wherever you are in the world, we're the show for you. Hello and welcome to episode 237 of Dogcast Radio. We live at www.dogcastradiocomepisode237php, where you can find all our podcasts and more. Today, I'm talking to Scott Watkins, who not only has his own dogs, but he looks after other people's dogs when they go on holiday or are otherwise engaged, and his dogs have helped him through his health troubles. This interview is a great illustration of how our dogs affect all aspects of our lives, and they just become part of our family, part of us, just entwined with us and everything we do and everything that happens to us. First of all, we talked about Scott's dogs.
I've actually got 3 dogs currently. I had 4. Phoebe was the first dog. I moved over to where I live currently. I moved here 14 years ago. I had a dog as a child growing up, and then I did not have a dog in my younger years because I shouldn't have had a dog because I was never home. I was always doing things and things like that. And then when I moved over where I'm at currently now, I wanted a dog because I was living by myself by my first house. I adopted Phoebe. Phoebe passed away just over 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you very much. She was my heart dog. She meant a ton to me. Taught me a ton, taught me a lot. I could tell a lot of stories. Very smart rat terrier. And then after I had Phoebe for about a year, I ended up looking to adopt another dog. While I was waiting to adopt Lucy, another dog popped up that I went and saw. His name was Tucker. So I adopted Tucker. And then a week later, they called and said I could adopt Lucy. And it's like, okay, I was only planning on 2 dogs. I ended with 3. So I was fine. So I had 3 rat terrier mixes for quite a while, all in the same age frame. Lucy just turned 14 in June, so she'll be 15 this coming June. Tucker turned 14 last October. And then it was February 20th, 9 years ago, or 8 years ago, I should say. 9 years ago, I adopted. Oops, I apologize.
That's okay.
They're saying hi.
Hi.
Hold on 1 second.
Okie doke.
They're on the porch. It's such a nice day here. So
yeah, and they're waiting to go to the dog park, aren't they? So we're holding them up.
Exactly. So I got involved in rescue in the meantime. A friend of mine that got me to rescue, Rainer at the mall. I used to run a cell phone store at the mall years ago. And she's like, "Are you the one with the little rat terriers that walk?" And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, "What did I miss? Picking up something or something like that?" And she's like, introduces herself, and she lives right up the road from me, or she used to, and she's involved in animal rescue. And next thing you know, I'm involved in animal rescue. And I think that first year we rescued, I don't know, over 100 dogs and cats, litters of dogs or litters of puppies. I mean, sometimes 6. I think the biggest one was like 12. So it adds up quick when you do litters like that. Yeah. So she got me full throwing in there, and we did the front end of the rescues. We looked for the freed animals so they didn't go to wrong homes, and the giveaways and things like that. That really worries me when people are giving animals away online. It's just not a good situation. No. So then I would network with rescues that were about an hour and a half 2 hours away in the metro, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I'm over in west central Minnesota. And I'd get them in foster-based rescues. Fast forward, I probably have rescued, I'm not bragging or anything, but I've been doing rescue for 12 years. I'm sure I've had my hands on over 1,000 dogs and cats easily that I've gotten to rescue. In the meantime, I've got a Craigslist ad and went and picked up this little Great Dane mix, 10 weeks old. She had ringworm and she had bent legs, which is panel, it's called. I don't know the full name, but it's larger breed dogs. Sometimes they can get too much protein. So her bones were growing faster than her growth plates could support. So then she was getting the bowed legs. So within about 4 days, I got her legs straightened out with nutrition that I use. And then I used our something called a germicide to kill the ringworm. And then I did some research and found out I was going to have to have her on her low, like a really poor quality diet, basically for her first year, low protein and things like that. So I supplemented the nutrition side of it. And yeah, so anyways, I ended up keeping her. Long story short, is where I'm going with that. So that's the only dog I've kept on all those animals that I've actually rescued that I've actually kept myself. The other 3 dogs I had before I actually got into rescue, even though they're all rescues. So anyways, Maisie just turned 9 in December, and she's 3/4 Dane and 1/4 boxer. So that's my 3 dogs. So they're I have no children, so they are my children, and they're the world to me. So
yeah, absolutely. They sound delightful. That's a bit different, isn't it? The Rat Terriers and then a Great Dane boxer mix. My goodness.
Yeah, the only thing is they pick up some. The Great Dane picked up some carrier habits, like the crawling under the covers in the bed and stuff like that. It's not so bad having a little 15-pound dog, but when you got a 90-pounder trying to crawl under the covers, that gets to be a little bit. So.
Oh yeah, and a dog that big, they sleep where they want to sleep. You know.
Yeah.
Oh bless, that's so sweet. That's lovely. They sound gorgeous, really gorgeous. And as you say, I mean, you do a lot for rescue. You've helped so many dogs. Wow, and you're the was it vice chairman of the local humane society?
Yes, I got asked to join the board of directors 2 years ago. So the second year they asked me if I'd be interested in stepping to the vice chair, and then this year there's a good chance I'm going to be chairman unless somebody else runs against me and I get voted out. Otherwise, there's a good chance. So yeah, I've over that time when I was networking with rescue groups, I grew a relationship with a local rescue here. They are a humane society, but all humane society. It's not like a fast food restaurant where it's all cookie cutter. Humane societies are all up. I mean, there's different humane societies are run different. They're not all cookie cutter system by any means. I'm not bragging, but our humane society has got a really good track record. We do a lot of really cool things, a lot of awesome things. Our kill rate is very, very minimal. It's usually for mercy because the dog or cat's ill, to put them out of their misery. And then occasionally you get dogs that can't be rehabilitated that are dangerous. But I mean, I'm talking, I can't remember the numbers, but I'm talking this year we were half what we were last year. And out of 3,000 animals, I'm talking like in almost like 20, 30. It's I think this year might have been single digits. So I'm really proud of that because I'm all about getting animals in the homes, in the right homes and things like that. So I'm really proud to be part of the board.
Yeah. Oh, well done. That's congratulations. That's a real achievement. That's brilliant. That's excellent. And that's exactly what we want, isn't it? It's brilliant. Yeah. And I mean, as well as that, as if that's, I mean, your life, I always say my life's gone to the dogs, but you really have, because you've got your own dogs, you rescue dogs, and then you work with dogs, don't you?
Yeah, and I haven't talked about the cats that I fostered in the basement temporarily when I need to.
Come back to cats.
Yeah, I've got UncleScotty'sHouse.com. I'm through a company here. I don't know if it's based on the States. They're probably all over the world, but they're called Rover. And people use me if they're going on vacation or sometimes daycare. I'm an alternate to boarding kennels because they're in the house with me and my dogs. They sleep upstairs in my bed if they want to, or where the situation is. If there's too many, obviously depends. Whatever their situation, if they sleep in the kennel, that's fine. But it's more of a vacation for them as well. I mean, I have a lot of dogs that get excited to come here because they know we're going to the park and things like that. So I tell people I'm not a boarding kennel because I only take somebody as well. And the fact that I work from home full time, I've been doing since 2011. So I've been doing the dog sitting for, I think, 6 years. It's a great way to supplement income, but it's awesome because the fact that I just get to meet that many more animals. I get to learn more about their behaviors and things like that. I've been to different trainings. So I take pride in making dogs feel comfortable. I mean, I've had times where dogs have been here and they say, well, they don't like men, and we're best buddies by the time they're leaving and things like that. So it's cool to, it's like the people watch when I was younger. Now I like to learn from animals. And if you pay attention and look for things, they'll tell you. They communicate really well if you're willing to pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've got, with the COVID going on, I have really lost a lot of traffic as far as clients. Had a couple stretches here and there, but it's like I don't even have any dogs with my 3 dogs because it's like the routine's down. I've had them since they've been young. You know what I mean? So 8, 9, 10 years, 11, 13 years living together. pretty much like a married couple. You know what your habits are. I know what they want. They know what they want. And
yeah. But isn't that the beautiful bit of dog ownership? Everybody thinks they want a puppy, and puppies are wonderful. Puppies are fun, but it's when you get the dog that you've helped make. You've given them lots of experiences, and you've worked together. You've lived together. You've trained together. As you say, they know you. You know them. And it's just a wonderful fit. And with Buddy, I used to think, oh my goodness, we've been together longer than a lot of marriages last, and we knew each other so well and we loved each other so much. And that's the brilliant bit of dog ownership, isn't it? That bit where you know each other.
100%. Yeah. No, people don't realize it's like when I lost Phoebe, I knew it was coming. She'd had a mass lump on her side. And that's not even what ended up killing her. It was congestive heart failure that ended up killing her. But I mean, I knew it was coming, and she was attached to my side for those last 2 years. And I had changed the diet. I went from a kibble to a straight raw diet because we didn't know if it was cancer or not. But it was so big, it's like I couldn't do nothing. And I'm a firm believer in quality of life. That's where I'm at with my personal life. I believe in quality over quantity. And if you start poking the bear, it's not a good thing. And you start poking something that might have cancer, and it usually just takes off and spreads all over the place. So yeah, I just totally changed diet, things like that, started adding in more of my supplements. And it's been a good thing because I've continued on with a lot of diet change and lifestyle change with the other 3 dogs I still have. And I told you their ages. I mean, 14 and a half, 14 and 9. And Maisie had some health issues 4 years ago. Got it all taken care of, found out that she had early hip degeneration going on and early spine degeneration going on. And like I said, she's 3/4 Dane and 1/4 boxer. And both those breeds tend to have cancer runs in boxers and hip and all kinds of issues running Danes, obviously. And her last x-ray that I had, because she ate some carpet a couple years ago, she had like an inch worth of, on her x-ray, it showed like an inch worth of arthritis across her back. And you can't even tell. Because the supplements I give her, I mean, she runs still. I mean, she doesn't have as long endurance as she used to, but she still plays like a puppy. I also do chiropractor adjustments. Her and Tucker, they get chiropractor adjustments about every 4 weeks to 8 weeks at the max. And then like I said, now I feed a half raw diet and I feed a half kibble diet, and I use really high quality supplements.
Yeah. Wow. Do you know, it sounds like a very good life to be a dog in your house.
Yeah, well, I try. I do my best.
Oh, you succeed.
My own health has they made a difference in my own health as well. So I feel like they give back just as much as I give them, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful. There's nothing like having a dog that you've got that bond with, that you have that history with, that you, and just going out for a walk or doing some training when you feel like a team with that dog. Oh my goodness, there's nothing like that, is there? It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's awesome. And one of my dogs, Tucker, has always had some behavioral issues from when he was a puppy. So it's a long story there, but I learned a lot from Tucker. He's my problem child, I call him. He's taught me a lot. And I mean, he wouldn't even accept Maisie for a long time. And Maisie's been so good and things like that forever. And since Phoebe passed away, Tucker for a while used to mark at the house a lot. So he had to wear a belly band. He stopped marking the house. He accepts Maisie now, so they can be together, loose in the house and things like that, where before I'd always have to be monitoring it, things like that. So, like I said, they've taught me a lot of life lessons as well, and just getting along and patience. Phoebe used to have anxiety, separation anxiety. Even if I was on the other side of the fence, she'd be barking because she was left in a kennel in Iowa and the owners never came back. Eventually that went away. At the end of her life, I couldn't even get her inside the house if it was a nice day, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a two-way street is what I'm saying. If people allow it, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. It's just, just love them so much. And then they give you that back. It's just in spades. And like, and it's not even just doing activities, sometimes just sitting in the chair and the dog comes and sits with you. And that's just so lovely. And it so enhances your day, and they're obviously happy. And it's just, it's just wonderful. It's what's life about for me. But I mean, having said that, you've mentioned your own health. I mean, and you've had, I mean, big issues, haven't you? You had a heart attack. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I started with a nutritional company 16 years ago when I was 37. I'll be 54 next month. When I started with this nutritional company, my health was just on a downward spiral. I mean, high cholesterol, I used to get ingrown hairs, used to have sinus infections 4 to 6 a year, which would last usually 7 months, 8 months of the year. Used to eat Advil by the handful because of sports injuries, car accidents, all kinds of things. Overweight, I was way overweight at the time. So fast forward, this company was awesome for me. Got really healthy, lost 40 pounds, changed my diet. Unfortunate part was I still smoked cigarettes this whole time. So I was a cigarette smoker since I was 24. So I smoked cigarettes for 28 years because I quit when I was 52. So it'll be 2 years ago this March that I quit. Yay. Hardest thing I ever did in my life.
Yeah.
And the best thing, thank you. And then my uncle died of a massive heart attack not too long ago. He was only 59. His grandpa, which would have been my great grandpa, dropped dead at a heart attack at 59. My grandpa, which would have been my uncle's dad, had strokes. So basically I had a heart attack. Well, not basically, I did have a heart attack June 10th of 2018. Wow. And I had 3 minor heart attacks before that. So within 9 days, I basically had 4 heart attacks because I didn't know they were heart attacks. I thought they were heartburn, which I don't get very often. And then I got between my backs, I'd go to the chiropractor just so I was stiff between my shoulder blades. Yeah. And then finally on a Sunday, I text my chiropractor, he's a friend of mine, and said it's going on again. I was up all night with heartburn, and the other times it just lasted maybe an hour at the most. He calls me back and starts asking me questions, and the questions I knew, I'm in the health field, so I knew the questions he was asking me were heart attack related. And I'm like, I might be having a heart attack, but I wasn't smart enough to go to the urgent care. So I go to sleep finally, wake up all sweaty, text him, and he's like, well, I'm back at the Little League thing, so I'll let you know when I'm back. And he's like, no, I'm going to go to urgent care. So I was taking care of a 19-year-old cat. Yeah. So I stopped by and fed that cat because I was stopping by somebody's house, fed the cat and loaded up the ditch and everything. Drove to urgent care, stood in line, paid my copay. So I think I'm having a heart attack. They said, well, you need to drive to the emergency room. I'm like, okay. Thought that was kind of weird. So I drove to the emergency room, went in there, and they're like, yeah, you're having a heart attack. That was at noon. And 3 hours later, I woke up in a place, it was about an hour away. It's called St. Cloud, Minnesota. They have the #1 heart hospital in the Midwest, so 3 hours later, I got a helicopter ride and I woke up and surgery was done. I had 4 stents put in. I was 99+% blocked. Luckily, it wasn't the widowmaker artery. It was the other one. But I didn't have high cholesterol. I didn't have high blood pressure. I wasn't diabetic, or I'm not diabetic. I'm not pre-diabetic. I was maybe a little overweight, but not obese. So I didn't meet any of the heart attack criteria, except I was a smoker and hereditary. Yeah. So since then, I got my act back together, started with rehab, exercising, taking certain extra supplements for the heart, things like that, got off my medication right away. Unfortunately, during COVID, I got really busy with my health business because people are looking for protection right now, obviously, with what's going on and extra income. But I let my own health slip again, not as far as supplement wise, but the exercise wise. And then I got some bad eating habits again. So I'm just finished my 7th day of my 7-day healthy cleanse right now. Today is my last day. So I'm getting back on track again. We're all humans.
That's it. Absolutely.
That's the way it is. I kept my original 40 pounds I lost off for 11 years. So I'm pretty proud about that. And then life's changed and back and forth. But yeah, I'm healthier today at 50. Well, we'll be 54 than I was at 37. And that's including a heart attack 2 years ago. And most people can't say that because
that's
it's not the way. So
yeah. And keeping the weight.
Yeah. And then the dogs have made so much difference in my life just because, I mean, they missed me obviously when I was gone and in the hospital and things like that. I was only in the hospital for 2 nights, but still, it was just cool. Yeah. A lot of good things it was a lot of good things that came out of it. So it happened for a reason.
Yeah, gosh. But I mean, one thing that occurs to me, which is nothing to do with health or dogs or anything, but you drove yourself to the hospital, then they took you in. What happened to your car, Scott?
Actually, Well, before I went to the hospital, I called a friend of mine because I had dogs that I was watching.
Yeah.
So I had called a friend of mine, and he got hold of another friend, and then I've got awesome. My family lives 3 hours away. My family is awesome, but my local friends are awesome too. And then his mother-in-law works at the hospital, so she came down to let them. And then he came over and he had a key to my house. He came over, got my extra key, and went and picked up my car to answer your question and brought it home.
Oh, bless. Yeah, and I looked after your dogs as well. Wow. Because that's, when you live on your own and you have animals, that's a big, what if, isn't it? What if? I mean, and it doesn't have to be, a heart attack, but what if you break your leg? Even if the car breaks down and you're delayed, indefinitely, there's a lot of things you need to think through, aren't there?
Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough, I'm not married, my best friend's wife, and one of my aunts actually came up and picked me up from the hospital. One drove 2 hours, one drove 3.5 hours. And then they brought me home and stayed with me a couple of days and helped me out and exercised the dogs and took care of me. So yeah, like I said, I've got awesome friends, and I've been blessed with awesome friends and family. So
yeah,
but yeah, no, you're right. And I've got keys to some friends' house, and some friends got keys to my house to answer that question. As far as if something happens, so they can come and, or if I'm running late or something like that, or if I have to run to the metro, it's a couple hours away and get delayed. And yeah, we help each other out a lot. I've got friends with cats and vice versa, and dogs. And
yeah. It's just something that, none of us like to think about something bad happening, but it's something you have to think about and think, okay, I need to nominate, an emergency caretaker and let them know. Ask them first. But, you need to have that person to sort of say, look, in an emergency, will you look after my animals? And just have thought it through, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I've only had 2 people out of all the dogs I've watched, and all the owners, I mean, I know they love their animals. Otherwise they would, because I cost more than a boarding facility, because I do more than a boarding facility.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't spend extra money, and so they didn't care. But I've only had 2 that were really concerned, but one was flying to Hawaii. But it's like, if we have a plane crash, something, this is who you need to contact the dogs and all that stuff. So, and they all have emergency listed in their profile besides that. But I've only had 2 people that were verbally made sure this is what you do if something happens, I don't come back or whatever. So I never thought of it either until they did. So
no, absolutely. Well, I'm very lucky because I've got to talk to lots of people who are experts in their field. And then when it's mentioned to you, you go, oh my goodness, yes, and like I say, it's not a nice subject to have to confront, but it's something you'd hate to leave your animals in the lurch. So it's something you have to think about. But to come back to the dog sitting, I mean, it's the next best thing. If you we now live with my mother, but she always was my dog sitter. She always came and moved into the house, had the dogs and the cats and the whatever we had at the time. And so she was my dog sitter. Now we live with my mum. And so if we go away, often it's all together. So you have to then nominate somebody and say, can you have the dog? But I mean, if you don't have somebody who's willing to take them, this kind of arrangement is amazing. I do some PR for a company that does home boarding, and home boarding is wonderful for dogs, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I've unfortunately, I think I had 8 or 9 dogs that I watched pass away. Not while I was watching them, but they passed away over last year. Yeah. But I'm thinking one in particularly, Rudy, that just passed away. He was a Swiss Mountain Dog. He was 10.5 years old. They actually adopted him from that's up St. Cloud, the town I mentioned about the hospital, the rescue up there. Yeah. They adopted him as a beagle puppy because he was a puppy. Well, he wasn't a beagle puppy because he ended up being a Swiss Mountain Dog. And they actually found the litter on the side of the road. So I don't know what happened there, but anyways, Rudy he did not like going to the boarding kennel. He was a nervous boy. He didn't like thunder. He didn't like anything. So he really appreciated being able to come to my house because he was just a nervous wreck and wore out. And the boarding facility is awesome. That's where I go with my dogs a lot to the dog park because they have a dog park behind it. And so I'm not ripping on the boarding facilities whatsoever, but some dogs just are not a good fit for it. And, and they actually Rudy's mom owner texted me the day before they're going to euthanize him because he had liver cancer and all that stuff, and asked if I wanted to come up and say goodbye and stuff like that. So I just really appreciate that. So it goes back to your point. For me, I get I build a lot of bonds with a lot of these dogs.
Yeah.
Another dog, Frankie, is an English Cocker Spaniel that I watched, and he's by far the easiest dog I've ever watched. I mean, I don't do many of my dogs off leash that I watch, but Frankie was just awesome. Some relatives came over a couple years ago, and I had some dogs here, and they were helping with some stuff around the house, and they all love the dogs, but they all love Frankie the most. And so Frankie just moved to Colorado too. So that not only do they pass away, but sometimes they move away. And the first dog I ever boarded is down in Texas now. So it's cool to follow their journey. And like I said, I build a lot of bonds with the people and their dogs. So it's very cool. Yeah. And like you said, it's a good situation for them is the best thing.
Yes. Yeah. It's lovely because, it's such a big responsibility and it's such a big thing. I mean, I always, when we leave our dogs, I always cry. And I had to ask when Buddy was quite poorly and we'd already booked to go on holiday. And the lady that I do PR for, I had to say to her, could you find someone that will have a Labrador that's 14, that's not always entirely continent, that's, deaf, but he does know sign language. But it was... And she found somebody, and he couldn't manage stairs at the time, so they had to be on the ground floor. There were all these things, and she went, "Yes, I've got a couple who have their own Labrador who was 13, I think he was." And it was wonderful for Buddy because he loved doggy company and he loved people, and they were Labrador people. Because again, a Labrador is quite an in-your-face dog. They want to be with you. They want to be noticed. And the fact they were Labrador people was lovely. So I mean, it was much easier for me, although I had to say to her, "Look, Anne, I'm going to cry," and she said, "I know." And I said, no, I'm not just going to sniffle, I'm going to do ugly gasping crying because this is my baby. And I did. And it wasn't that I didn't trust her, I did, but it's my baby and I'm going away from my baby, and it's a horrible, it's such an emotional situation, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, and it's usually the first time because the people don't know me that they get emotional if they do. But after they've been there and they've seen how good their dog is and likes coming back, and then it makes them feel better. And that's my role. That's my goal, is to let people enjoy their trip and their time away. And I send multiple picture updates a day. They're always welcome to say, "Hey, well, the dog doing or whatever." But I do send updates, and I just I pride myself on. I mean, if you go to that page, you'll see all kinds of reviews, and I pride myself on making people feel comfortable and making people their dogs feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, do you send updates? Because that's one of the things that Mum used to say, that I would ring home and go, "How's Buddy?" And she'd go, "I'm fine, thank you." And no, how's Buddy? You can tell me, but the dog I've got to look out for him. Nobody else will. So. And you being a pet parent, you understand what they're going through, don't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I went to Hawaii for a week, and then we stopped in California on the way back for a week, 2015. And I was ready to skip the second part and come right back because I miss my dog so much. And then the thing is, the people that my best friend and his wife, they do the same thing I do in the metro. That's who usually watches my dogs, and I was with them. So, so I had friends watching my dog here at my house and stuff like that. So I knew they're okay, but still, you still miss them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's a responsibility, and you should take it seriously, shouldn't you? You should miss them, and you should take it seriously, because if you don't, who will? And so many things can happen to them without you knowing, and people have got to know sort of your vet and what to do if they do get out, and so many things. It is a big undertaking. Oh
yeah. I mean, I think I've had one rescue that I fostered for 6 months, Mia. She was a pit bull mix and just the sweetest girl ever. And she'd just been bounced around all over the place. And she was an escape artist. She escaped one time, and it took me 4 hours to find her.
Oh my goodness!
We were driving all over the place looking for her, and then I got back home, and this little girl comes up to me, and she used to play with the neighbors' kids, and she's like, "Are you looking for a dog?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I know where it is," and she's got a dog named Sugar that's a Staffordshire mix, or no, Sugar was a full Staffordshire, and I had helped her a couple times catch him and bring him home, and they're like 4 or 5 blocks away. So she takes us over to this house. It happens to be the guy that was with me, a lady that works for the place he worked at. That's where they lived. And the kids had grabbed the dog, we'd heard reports on the other side, and they had a chain on it on Mia and going around with the bikes and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, we were looking for the owners." And it's like, "Oh, is that why you took the tags off?" Because all their tags are gone and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so I wasn't very happy. So then I had to really keep an eye on her because she literally, I've got 6-foot fences. I've never had a dog. Well, I've had one dog, a Mastiff, that just chewed through the fence, escaped one time, but that doesn't count when they just chew through the fence.
No. Oh, no.
But so no, because I would hate to have something like that a dog get loose and then I can't find her something and somebody else's dog. So I'm very careful with that. So
yeah, absolutely. So tell me about the cats as well. You obviously are not just a dog person, you're an animal person all around. So tell me about the cats.
Yeah, I've got I live in a house, 3-level house. So in my basement, I've got some extra rooms. So my friend Shani, that's in the rescue, that's got me in the rescue. Once people start learning of things too, they reach out to you. Your name gets around. So we have people reach out. People reach out to Shani. Sometimes we get litters of kittens off of free ads, Facebook, Craigslist, whatever. So then I'll be like a temporary place for them to stay. Our local humane society is awesome at letting us spay and neuter stray cats and things like that. And we pay a very small fee. And this is a secret, and it should be rolled out hopefully by the time people start hearing this. So we've actually, one thing I'm really proud about our we're going to be doing a low cost spay and neuter service to the public. Right now we have a couple different places that used to come in. They haven't since COVID, but they'd come in, but they'd always fill up, and it's an awesome deal. But we're going to have it permanently through our shelter, which is awesome because it's all about controlling the population. I just don't understand why people don't understand why they shouldn't spay and neuter their animals. It's not only to stop the reproduction, but it's also really healthy. You can't get testicle cancer without testicles. You can't get the female cervical cancer, you know what I'm saying, without. So it's for the health reasons as well, not only to stop reproduction. And I'm not a hardcore rescue. And some people are going to listen to this and say you're not a rescuer, and I'd say baloney. There is a need for breeders, but the problem is there's no need for puppy mills. There's no reason for accidental litters. There's no reason to be breeding a poor line just to make money.
Yeah.
So the real breeders really don't make a lot of money. Anybody that's a real breeder knows that because it costs so much money. So
yes, if you're
a breeder and you're profiting, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. If you're doing it properly, there's not money in it really. It's just, and that's not what real breeders, they're not doing it for the money, are they? They're doing it for the love of the dog, for the love of the breed, and to 100%. Make that breed, and like you, I love good breeders. We do need good breeders because if we don't, dogs will die out. I don't want dogs to die out. But I do want good, reputable breeders with integrity who are doing it for the good of the breed and not sort of, I'll let her have a litter. Because that's not the way forward, just as you say, not the backyard, not the sort of, I'll just have one litter. And this really came home to me this past winter because we just moved house, just over a year ago. And this winter we found a nest of stray kittens. We found one kitten and we didn't really realize it was from a nest. And then we found another one, and then we found the nest. And these poor little kittens, the first one I took to the vets. And of course, as you say, it's during COVID time, so it's sort of distancing and trying to stay safe. So we took the kitten to the vet, and they're wonderful vets, and they did everything they could for it, and she didn't make it. The second one, because the vet said, unless there's anything wrong with it, we can't really do anything. So the RSPCA took that one away. Then we found the nest. We didn't realize there was a hot tent there that 4 or 5 more kittens. Oh my goodness! And these poor little guys, and it was freezing cold, and you just think, please, I don't know whether they're living on a farm or what they're doing, but if the original cats had been neutered, this problem wouldn't be happening now. And it's heartbreaking when you find, it really brought it home to me, because when you find this little life, this little soul that's suffering and has so many illnesses and isn't going to make it long term, the responsibility is huge. And oh my goodness, the tears we've cried over these kittens. And it really brought it home. You have to spay and neuter, unless, and as you say, unless I'm not anti-breeder, people who know what they're doing, but otherwise, spay and neuter, because it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Well, when there's millions of animals being euthanized every year because there's lack of home, I'm sorry,
it's wrong.
And you talked about puppies before. Puppies are awesome. I don't want puppies. I finally started charging more for puppies to watch them because I forget how much work they are.
Yes.
And there's an option in my thing to charge more, and I finally started doing it. I've had a few puppies that are really awesome, but most puppies they're puppies. That's what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I personally will be I'd like to keep it 2-3 dogs max. As openings open up in my house, or what you want to call it. I mean, I plan on adopting senior dogs, medical issue dogs that are having a hard time getting placed, or whatever the case is, because to me, I'm getting older. I'd rather have a dog that just wants to lay around half the day or 3/4 of the day than one that wants my attention 3/4 of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And people forget that, and then they forget that they grew up, and then they don't socialize them as puppies, and they have issues, and it's like, no, you need those younger years, and then you get these, especially when breeders separate their puppies and kittens at 6 weeks instead of waiting at 8 weeks at least.
Yeah.
That right there tells you you're not a legitimate breeder. I'm sorry, because those last 2 weeks, from week 6 to week 8 is so important in the developers, their socialization and things like that, and people don't realize that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I was talking to a behaviorist recently who was saying that good breeders, and again, it's very easy for people to think, well, I just want a dog. It doesn't really matter. It does, because things like separation anxiety are so common, and it's a very, it's a serious problem because it impacts on you. It impacts on the dog. It's like a panic attack for the dog. If you have neighbours, they're going to be complaining. So it is a big issue. But a good breeder, again, will have been getting that puppy used to perhaps being, obviously with its siblings and mother to begin with, then with its siblings, and then perhaps putting them 3 or 2 in a crate or in an area, and giving them that experience of safely getting used to being on their own. That's not a person who's in it just for the money. The people who are in it for the money, they're not going to put that time into your puppy. So I absolutely agree with you. You've got to go to a good breeder, and you've got to go to someone who wants to keep them for the right amount of time and give them the best start in life. And then that's going to make life happier for you as well as the dog, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Dogs need to be stimulated. If dogs are being naughty, it's because they're just like a kid being naughty. They don't have anything to do with their energy. And what they're going to do, they're going to do something destructive more times than not, unfortunately. That's one reason I was on. We have a private dog park. I mean, anybody can go there, but you got to pay for it where I go, just on the outskirts of town. And we've got another dog park in town that's a public dog park. And I was actually on the dog park planning committee for that. And I don't even use it because I use the other one. I think I've used it twice. And I tell people I selfishly wanted that dog park because the more people get out and exercise their dog, the better their dogs are. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, you don't have an excuse. You don't even have to walk yourself. You just need to drive to the dog park, walk them into the leash, and let them run and stand there and talk. and hopefully pay attention if your dog's not being nice to teach them some manners. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So obviously I like the dog park that I go to because it's bigger and I can get my exercise in too. So I'm just constantly walking while the dogs are running around, and a lot of times they just follow me around. So yeah. But exercise is a good thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Scott, I know that you and your dogs are waiting to go to the dog park today, so I won't hold you up much longer, but is there anything else that you want to say about dogs or rescue or yourself or health or anything that we haven't had time to say yet?
I'm a firm believer. I've switched to, like I mentioned, raw diet earlier. I found a balance with my dogs, doing a good quality kibble. Kibbles are hard because all kibble is basically almost half of it, if not over half of it, is sugar. So I found a balance between a good kibble that I believe in, and then raw, and then I use my own personal supplements that I use myself for my dogs as well, because not all supplements are created equal. It's just like dog food. You get some really low quality, and a lot of supplements out there are synthetic. If you're looking for a supplement to use, look for a whole food supplement and try to find a company that's actually got some clinical studies. They're hard to find. Not just 5 out of 6 doctors say this, but actual clinical studies, and not their own clinical studies, third party. So I believe in prevention. Prevention is way cheaper and way easier than dealing with illness, whether it's your dog or not. That's cost money. Doctors cost money. Taking time off work costs money, and you're doing that to take your dogs or cats or whatever the case is. So just like I said, it's longevity, and get chemicals out of your house. Use natural cleaners. Just put the odds in your favor, I guess is what I'm saying. I believe in the natural resource. Western medicine, I love the fact that they put stents in my heart and saved me there, but they were shoving medication down my throat right away, and I'm like, well, why am I taking this for high blood pressure? I don't have high blood pressure. Why am I taking this for this? I don't have this. Well, that's because what we do with heart attack patients, it's like, so I'm just a cookie cutter. You're just doing the same thing. And it's like, I'm not the same. It's called practicing medicine. So, and I'm not saying, but more times than not, you got to figure out what the cause is of your condition, and you fix the cause and your condition goes away. Rather than just putting a Band-Aid over your condition is what I'm saying. So just a believer in taking care of yourself and exercising and eating right, and just do the right thing. Live by the golden rule. Do upon others what you do upon yourself.
Yeah.
Well, so thank you, Julie, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. You're looking good on it anyway, and your dogs are looking good on it. They're a smashing age, so well done. They're doing really well. Where, because I'm sure people will want to find out more, where can people find out more about you online?
A couple of sites I can give you. If you go to give you my dog site where you can check out my dog stuff, UncleScotty'sHouse.com. Yeah. UncleScotty'sYesHouse.com. And then I've got some free information, free ebooks. You can go to scottwatkins.info. You can get all kinds of wellness information, and you can also connect with me on social media through scottwatkins.info. You can find me on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on there, LinkedIn, I believe. And then if you want to take a free assessment, we've got a really cool precision nutrition. I've got some promotions going on, but it's like a 10-minute assessment, like 110 million combinations, but it's neologyscott.com. I'll spell that out loud. MEOLOGY, and then Scott with 2 T's, SCOTT.com. And it's assessment. There's no requirements. You're not obligated to nothing. But if you want to kind of see what's recommended that you take nutritionally wise for your own nutrition, even if you can't get what I take myself where you're at around the world, you can at least see what you should take for your conditions and what will help you.
Scott's obviously a busy man with all those dogs of his own and other people's to look after, and various other commitments, and looking after his health. Thanks to Scott for sharing his story with us. All the links Scott mentioned will be on the Dogcast Radio site, dogcastradio.com, and on our social media, or socials, as they say now. That's it for now. I am off to take a cold shower because it is so hot this week in the UK. Till next time, stay cool and look after yourselves and your dogs. Thanks for listening to Dogcast Radio, available from www.dogcastradio.com. That's DOGCAST radio.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, and wherever you are in the world, we'd love to hear from you. You can do so in a variety of ways. You can contact us on Skype with the ident dogcastradio. That's all one word, dogcastradio. By email, you can contact me on julie@dogcastradio.com. When contacting us by email, if you have the facilities, please record your questions or comments and send them to us as an audio file. That way we can include them directly in our programme. We can accept most formats, for example WAV, MP3. All these methods of contacting us can be found on our website, which is www.dogcastradio.com. And as ever, the final word goes to Jenny.
What do dogs get after they graduate from obedience school? They're masters.